Welcome back, guys. So, in the last video, we have discussed about how to work with closed models, right? Closed source models. We have worked with OpenAI API. We worked with Anthropic API. We worked with the Gemini API. So, in this video, we'll be focusing on the LangChain. So, the agenda is we'll understand what is LangChain and why exactly it matters, why we need to learn about LangChain, what is something called as LangChain Expression Language, LangChain ecosystem, and we'll also do a lab on we'll be working with LangChain and we'll be doing a simple customer service agent lab, okay? But before going to what is LangChain, first we'll understand the main problem, okay? Current, why we have LangChain, what is the main problem? So if you remember, guys, when we are working with the models, right? When you're working with LLM models, which we have just worked with, I mean, which we have worked in the last video, what was the main problem we have seen? For example, if I just open this last lab, you can see we have three different files, right? Which we've explored in the last lab. So, for example, if I just open the OpenAI, the OpenAI code. So here, if you see, they have their own library. They have their own. I mean, the way we send the message, they send the message or the prompt to the OpenAI API is this way, and the response is something like this, where we have the content here. Whereas if I just go to the Claude again, the library is different, the way we send the message is different, and the prompt, the final response location is different. The same thing for Gemini, right? You can see, right? The way we send the message is different, the response is also a different place, and also the library is different. So you can see, right? There is some discrepancies in there is some differences in the outputs, right? Or I can say there's a difference in the structures, right? Like all the models are in not same location, or the way we send to the model we it varies, right? That is one problem. That is one problem. And also when we want to integrate some tools or some kind of any other external integration to this LLM models, again we have to write our code by ourselves. So that is where the LangChain will come into the picture. The main goal of LangChain is to act like a bridge between the raw LLM models and the applications. So basically, I would say it will be acting like a bridge, right? It will be acting like a bridge between the raw LLM models, right, and the actual, the applications, the Gen AI based applications, right? Gen AI based applications. So if you want to develop a Gen AI based application, any product related to generative AI or any product related to this AI based, so if you use the raw LLM directly, or the LLM which is provided by the LLM provider, integrating things would take longer duration or longer time. Whereas if you use LangChain, LangChain is designed in such a way that you can just do plug and play. We can just do something called as plug and play, right? For example, I want to use Gemini today. Okay, I'll use Gemini. Or if I want to use OpenAI's models, I will just remove one at one place. I'll remove and I'll replace with the OpenAI. That's it. Remaining entire code will be same. So that is where this flexibility of LangChain comes into the picture, where you can just build the entire GenAI applications by just doing plug and play, and you can just modify things and change things. Okay, so if you actually see the LangChain proper abbreviation, we say Lang and we say chain, right? So Lang is what? Lang means language, correct? Lang, because we are working with large language models, your Lang stands for language, correct? And you're having something like chain. Chain means what? What is the general meaning of chain? So chain looks something like this, right? It's connected, correct? It is somewhat connected like this. We say this is a chain, right? A chain. So in the same way, imagine you're building some application related to Gen AI, you might be needing to do some kind of series of steps. Like, okay, step one, you want to do something. Step two, you want to do something else. Step three, you want to do something else. So this LangChain is something which arranges, or which actually puts this all this series of steps in a chain-like structure, in a sequential structure. Like for example, step one, okay, we send the prompt. Step two, we feed it the prompt to the LLM, something like this. Okay, first we write the prompt, step one, okay, or module one, or this one. Step two is we feed the prompt to the LLM. Then step three is we parse the output of LLM, right? Step four is we do some kind of guardrail, or we do some kind of guardrail. So something like that, right? These kind of series of steps you can actually arrange in a chain kind of manner, or sequential manner. Okay, so that option we have in the LangChain. LangChain provides this option. That is the reason it's called as LangChain. So, so these are the major two goals of LangChain, guys. The first goal is, if you see, the first goal, major goal is to unify or to act like a bridge, okay, and unify the LLM usage. Like instead of using multiple libraries, multiple things, you can just, use just LangChain and integrate whatever LLM you want and whatever tool you want. And also it provides a lot of tools, integration, lot of, when I say tools, a lot of, lot of integrations basically, lot of integrations, third-party integrations or any integrations. Third step is you can build a simple, chain-like structure. These are the main reasons why, we use LangChain a lot in the generative AI-based application. So in this entire course, we'll be using LangChain a lot and lot. Okay. So if I just take a simple example, you can see, guys, what LangChain offers. This is again just a simple, few things what LangChain offers, but there are way more than this. So you can see, for example, if you want to load any documents to your LLM, if you want to do some kind of load some PDFs or something like that, you have document loaders and respective utils. You have specific prompt loaders, you can create prompt templates here. As I said, chains, right? We can create chains and LLM itself, and also we can create agents. We can also create agents using LangChain. So these are the different, what LangChain offers various options. So this is why, LangChain is very famous, and a lot of people uses LangChain for, for their respective building their respective generative AI application. Okay, and also we have something called as LCEL. Okay, the most common name you will be hearing a lot. That is LangChain Expression Language. Expression Language. Okay. So I told you, right, in LangChain, we will create something called as chains, correct? We create something called as chains, where it means that, if you're having any series of steps you're doing for your Gen AI based application, you will arrange it like a chain, right? One, step two, step three, something like this. So in LangChain, there is a special operator actually. That is actually a common operator which we use in our regular programming as well, the OR operator, which looks something like this, the OR operator. So the LangChain library developers, they have made this chain integration very simplified with the help of this OR operator. What do I mean by this is, imagine you're having step one. So you can just define step one. And if you want to connect step one to step two, you can just use this pipe symbol. You can just use this pipe. It's like pipeline. Okay, they use this pipe symbol to represent a pipeline. Okay, so you say, okay, step one, then you have a pipe symbol, and then step two. Okay, then okay, step three, something like that. So you can just create a chain using this simple pipe symbol. Okay, that is what the LangChain expression language actually says. Okay, you can use this pipe symbol to connect various series of steps, and each step is like a some kind of invocable runnable step. Okay, which is running something. Okay, and also there is also something called as runnable. Well, I'll come to that soon. There is something called as runnable where you can also integrate multiple chains as well. I'll also show you how to integrate multiple chains. Imagine this is one chain. Okay, you created one chain and you want to integrate another chain here. Okay, some other steps. Okay, step 1A or 1B or something like that, right? In that case, you can also you can use this. Okay, something like that. We'll talk about that. How can we do that? But yes, the LangChain is for this. Okay, so So we learned about what is LangChain, right? We learned about what is LangChain, why it matters, why we need to use LangChain. Okay. We also talked basic about LangChain expression language. However, once we go into the code, we'll understand more about how exactly LangChain expression language works. We now will also understand something called as LangChain ecosystem. Okay. See, LangChain provides this option of various tools, right? I've told you like document loaders, prompts, chains, LLMs, agents. It provides you various options, various integrations basically. And also I told you that it provides this, right? But there is also LangChain ecosystem, right? So I'll just show you what is LangChain ecosystem and how LangChain ecosystem looks. Okay, this is how the LangChain ecosystem looks. So in core LangChain, in LangChain, we are having something called as LangChain core, which we will be generally using. Okay, in that we are having LangChain OpenAI, LangChain Anthropic, LangChain community. Here we'll be having all the respective LLM providers, respective LangChain community and lot of tools integrations, a lot of integrations here, right? We'll be having a lot of integrations. So through which here using this LangChain core, we can build Gen AI based applications. Okay. Using this LangChain core, we can build some Gen AI based applications, right? If you want to build any, a simple Gen AI based application where, you want to answer a customer service, you want to build a customer service agent where you want to answer your customers, you can use LangChain core. Or if you want to build a simple email generating agent, you can do that. So something like that, you can build a simple Gen AI based applications. But if you want to build a agentic AI based applications, that is where the concept of land graph will come into the picture, which we'll be discussing in our next upcoming session in the future sessions, right? That this is our upcoming sessions. So this is where the concept of agentic AI come into the picture. If you want to work with agentic AI, there where your land graph will come into the picture, where you will be building graph-based systems, okay, where you are thinking and observing, and looping some kind of advanced systems where your land graph will come in. So you can see, right, once if you know how to work with LangChain, there are a lot of things which you will basically easily know, right? You'll be able to understand and you'll be able to work with, right? I guess there's a typo. Okay. So yeah, so you'll be able to easily know. So once if you understand LangChain, so because you're in the ecosystem, you'll also understand easily how to integrate the land graph. And the good thing is they are also offering one more solution, one more integration into the LangChain ecosystem, that is Langsmith. Langsmith is like a observability tool, and it also we have that in the UI, like like a website. It is also a website, dashboard. Okay, you can see a dashboard where you can integrate this Langsmith to your application, generative AI based application, and you can debug, like like how many tokens your LLM is consuming, how much cost your LLM is, what is the input and output of the LLM. You can do some evaluation. You can also do performance optimization. So it's completely observability tool. Like you can do debugging and monitoring using Langsmith. Okay, using the Langsmith. So in that way, LangChain offers these three solutions, three different options here. If you're working with core Gen AI based application, you can use simple LangChain core. If you're working with agentic AI, you can go with LangGraph. Again, the thing is, this LangChain will again be used inside LangGraph. I'm not saying okay, if you're using LangGraph, we'll not be using LangChain. No. Again, for working with LLMs, for initiating the LLMs, again we use LangChain here. Again, Langsmith is a common between these both. Langsmith can be for debugging and for monitoring purpose. So this way, these are the different different features this LangChain is offering. Okay, cool. So now that we understood what is the LangChain ecosystem, and we also understood the basic idea of what is LangChain and why we have to learn LangChain. Now let's jump into the lab. I'll just quickly show you how to install, and already we have done the setup in the last session itself. Like we already have a virtual environment, and we also installed few libraries already. But however, there are few more libraries which we have to install for LangChain. So let's install that first, and then we will try to work on a use case. I will show you some examples with LangChain. How can you integrate LangChain and work with your any model whatever you are wishing to. Okay.